Missouri's Attorney General wants to know what former President Joe Biden didn't know, and for how long he didn't know it. In a post on X, Missouri Attorney General Andrew Bailey said he wants the Department of Justice to open up a can of worms by investigating whether Biden's deluge of executive orders and pardons that marked the final weeks of his presidency came at a time when Biden had no idea what he was signing. I am demanding the DOJ investigate whether President Biden's cognitive decline allowed unelected staff to push through radical policy without his knowing approval, Bailey wrote. If true, these executive orders, pardons, and all other actions are unconstitutional and legally void. In his post, Bailey attached a copy of a letter he wrote to Michael Horowitz, the Inspector General of the Department of Justice. In the letter, Bailey said there were profound reasons to suspect that Biden's staff and political allies exploited his mental decline to issue purported presidential orders without his knowing approval. Bailey said House Speaker Mike Johnson is among those who have said that Democrats tried to prevent him from breaching Fortress White House to see Biden in person. Speaker Johnson, for example, reported that staff and elected officials, including former Vice President Kamala Harris and former Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer, tried to prevent Johnson from meeting with Biden, he wrote. Though presidents always have gatekeepers, in Biden's case, the walls around him were higher and the controls greater, according to Democratic lawmakers, donors, and aides who worked for Biden and other administrations. Staff limited Biden's ability to speak with others and limited the sources of information he consumed, he wrote. Staffers and the vice president cannot constitutionally evade accountability by laundering far-left orders through a man who does not know what he is signing. Bailey wrote Horowitz that assuming staff authored Biden's slew of pardons and orders would explain why the Biden administration's orders were aggressively much farther to the left than any previous president. If in fact Biden's staffers were exploiting his mental decline, those orders are null and void. By now, Biden's mental decline is famous, Bailey wrote. Under the 25th Amendment, his inability to make decisions should have meant a succession of power. Instead, it appears staffers and officers in the Biden administration may have exploited Biden's incapacity so they could issue orders without an accountable president of sound mind approving them, he wrote. Bailey said the issue remains critical even with Biden out of office. Who has been running the country for the last few years? Bailey wrote, I fear that Mr. Biden, while he held the office of president, did so in name only and was a mere puppet for far-left, unelected staffers. The people deserve to know the truth. He quoted Democratic National Committee fundraiser Lindy Lee as recently saying that the people who ran our country for the last 4 years were his staff, his wife, and his son Hunter Biden. I thus ask you to launch an investigation or refer my request to another investigative body to determine which of Biden's purported orders were knowingly issued by a competent president and which were not, Bailey wrote.